Welcome back. We now turn our attention to our hashtag Africa Focus feature. This part of the show where we look at some of the biggest stories on the African continent, and we'll be turning our attention to Kenya, where a proposed US-linked Ebola quarantine and research facility, this is out in the Nyanyuki, has sparked protests and public concern, and I think a very, very important and heated national debate. Supporters say the project is aimed at strengthening disease surveillance and preparedness in the region, and to try and track, some of these cross-border outbreaks. However, critics of this argue that the communities that have not been adequately consulted are now being forced to accept this, and there are questions that are being asked on why such a facility is being established in Kenya in the first place, where there hasn't been a big outbreak of Ebola and hasn't been a persistent issue. And I think it would be a very, very important conversation to have, because the controversy, at least from my point of view, raises very, very important questions about public health, about transparency, what the government chooses to do, and citizens, do we just have to accept it? And also about sovereignty, having countries like the United States of America, who I think for the longest of time, at least quite recently, have proven that I don't say can't be trusted, but are not reliable allies, if I can put it that way. So yeah, we're going to be unpacking it. We're going to be looking at some of those important questions and how they need to be answered. And to help us do that, to help us understand what's driving the reaction on the ground, we're joined by a Kenya-based journalist. He's with the Standard Group, Alex Kiarie, who's joining us via our virtual platform. Alex, karibu sana. Thank you for joining us and being part of this very, very important conversation. Welcome to News and Views.
Thank you very much. We say shukran in Kenya in Swahili, and I'm glad to be here, sir.
No, the pleasure is all ours. The pleasure is all ours. And I want us to jump right into it. We are seeing scenes. We're seeing, mass protests, as it is, almost the culture in Kenya quite recently, where young people who are not happy about some decisions taken by the government storm the streets. For our listeners who are only catching up now, that are hearing about the story but have seen those images, what exactly is happening? What is this proposed facility, and why it has become so controversial for ordinary Kenyans?
Here in Kenya, we have never had any case of Ebola since its discovery in the former Zaire in 1976. And it seems like there is a push to have this happen in Kenya because, as you know, in Kenya, a scandal is always a crisis away, and when there is no crisis, they always create one. So this crisis was occasioned by the decision by the Americans to set up an Ebola quarantine center in the Laikipia Air Base, which is within one of the northern towns in Kenya. And this was done without including Kenyans, or rather having Kenyans' voices, because according to the Kenyan constitution, matters affecting national security, anything that affects the national health, or anything that is touching on the national values of the country must involve the Kenyans through a process called a public participation. This never happened. We never have any case. We have never recorded any case of Ebola in the country. And now the Americans want to have their own quarantine facility in a Kenyan airbase without involving Kenyans. And Kenyans are really asking this question: that if we don't have any case in the country, why bring it here? And at all, this facility is not supposed to benefit Kenyans. It is supposed to admit American patients who might contract this disease in the DRC, and DRC lies a country away from us, because between Kenya, for you to access DRC, you have to go through either Uganda or South Sudan. And so far, we don't have any case in this. That's why Kenyans are very, very unhappy, and they have been protesting and vowed to do these weekly protests, just like it happened yesterday, where one person died and so many of them were injured between the police and the Kenyan protesters.
Mm. I'm I'm trying to really understand here, because there are two main things that you're mentioning that are probably the reason why there's opposition to this facility. The first one, obviously, being the fact that it is for American citizens only. They can be admitted should they contract the Ebola virus in the DRC. And then the second aspect is the fact that Kenyans were not consulted. They were not, asked whether or not this facility should be built. What do you think is the key issue here? The fact that this facility won't be for Kenyans, number one, and most probably would even bring the threat of the Ebola virus to Kenya, because you'll be bringing people that have been exposed to it, or the fact that there hasn't been any Kenyan voices, as you mentioned, into the establishment of this facility. I want to go for a quick break, but when you come back, maybe we can touch on that very, very important, factor. Which one is the most significant one? But we'll do that after this.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Almost 1 in 5 South African children attend school each day without having eaten breakfast. This seriously affects their ability to concentrate and understand lessons. The Al Imdad Foundation's Make Breakfast Possible campaign allows learners to enjoy a high-energy cereal at the start of the school day. Help children to focus on learning and not hunger. Let's make breakfast possible today. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
At Dynasty Islamic, we believe your financial future should grow with purpose and in line with your values. We specialize in Sharia-compliant financial solutions designed to protect, grow, and preserve your wealth. Whether it's investment planning, risk cover, or structuring your legacy, our approach is rooted in transparency, integrity, and ethical principles. Too often, people invest without knowing if their money aligns with their beliefs. At Dynasty Islamic, we change that, offering you clarity, confidence, and peace of mind. Let us help you build a future that's not only financially secure, but spiritually aligned. Dynasty Islamic, where your wealth meets your values. Get in touch with us at info@dynastyislamicfas.co.za, visit www.dynastyislamic.com, or find us on Facebook and Instagram.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Kiarie, and we're having a really, really important conversation on a hashtag Africa Focus feature. We're focusing on Kenya, where there have been widespread protests all around Kenya. This is because of this proposed United States project, a Ebola pandemic center that Kenyans are so opposing of. And I'm in conversation with Alex Kiarie, who's a journalist out in Kenya. Alex, before we went into that short break, I wanted to understand what could be at the core of these protests. And again, two things can be right at the same time. But what do you think is the most overarching reason of why Kenyans are against this? Establishment. Is it because Kenyans, were not communicated to, they were not asked whether or not this facility should be built, or it's because of the fear and the risk that, as you mentioned, there hasn't been any Ebola outbreaks in Kenya, and they've been, confined mostly to the central part of the continent, mainly the DRC, and the facility in itself could expose Kenyans to Ebola. And also the second part, this is for United States citizens. It will not help Kenyans in any way. What do you think is at the core of the protest here?
The biggest fear that Kenyans have right now is that in the case of an outbreak or rather any carelessness happening at the facility, some soldiers who do not live on the base permanently, some of them, of course, live in the town, in the communities. They normally commute to and from the base where they work. And also, they live, of course, with the families. And in case of any risk of the leak or any carelessness that might expose some of these soldiers, they might take this virus to their people and to the communities. Also, while traveling to other training grounds outside the airbase, some soldiers interact with the local residents, and this could also expose them to that risk of exposure to the virus. This is one of the biggest fears that is making Kenyans push back against this virus, rather facility. And then also the fact that they were not involved. They were never consulted on whether this should be done at the airbase or not, is the one thing that is now adding to the anger, to the public anger. The third part of it is the fact that in case a Kenyan is exposed to this virus, they would not be treated at the facility because it is exclusively for the American citizens who have contracted the disease in the DRC. So three things that are at play here. And also remember that the US offered to give Kenya 1.5 million shilling, rather dollars, that is meant to go into Ebola preparedness. And as you know, from the past cases, once funds land in the hands of the government, accountability is usually a challenge. And they feel like in case this happens, this money will not help them because, as you know, Kenya's healthcare systems are currently very weak because of lack of funding, and also the fact that there are also noises or rather whispers about corruption that is running and is also endemic in most public sectors. And they feel like even if they're given the money, it will not help them because there is no disease for now, so there is no need to expose us so that you can give us the money.
Very, very important to note. I want to talk about the response of the Kenyan government. How have they responded to the criticism and just the general growing public pressure based on these protests that have been springing up recently?
The government has been pushing, of course, for this ideology to be accepted, but the fact that it is doing it from an illegality makes it such a hard task for government officials because, remember, as I had indicated, the law requires that Kenyans should be involved through public participation, but this never happened. And also, our president has also been trying to justify the fact that as a good neighbor, as a regional hub, and with our elevated healthcare system compared to other countries in the region, it is our responsibility to stand with the US because the US has been standing with us for the past 40 years in healthcare. But this is the same US that has also shut down the USAID programs that were very, very important to Kenyans, especially in the fight against HIV/AIDS. And the same US that has chosen to work with what is perceived as a corrupt government instead of working through the USAID channels and structures which used to benefit Kenyans directly without involving government officials. So it is quite a difficult and precarious position, and this is coming at a time when Kenya is entering into the process season. Remember that we'll be having the budget being read tomorrow, which also has also been opposed by Kenyans, and also the anniversary of the July 2020, the June 2024 protests, which is also around the corner. So from tomorrow moving forward, these and other issues are going to aggravate the situation further against the government, because the government has already been seen to have lost touch with the people. It has lost touch with the reality, and it is not listening and understanding anyone, because the president, President Ruto himself, is largely seen as a leader who does not listen to his people, and instead chooses to push back against them using the police and security agencies.
So in essence, you see this facility going to go ahead and being established despite some of these protests. Is that what you sensing?
According to the Kenyan government, of course, they have the green light to go on and construct it. But you see, the US is also thinking twice, because it should not be seen to be violating the rights of a sovereign nation, even when it is in bed with the regime in place. So they have indicated that in case this is not accepted by Kenyans, they might now go to Plan B, which I believe should be to take the sick patients to their home country for treatment. Because remember that American citizens have also opposed this plan, because according to them, the law of the rights of the American Constitution grants Americans the right to be treated in their own country whenever they from wherever they are, because the country has better facilities. It has invested heavily in the management and treatment of such viruses. So they feel like being taken to Kenya in itself is violating their rights in case they contracted the virus. So they want to be taken to their country to be treated by their facilities under on their soil. So there could be some shifting of plans, but this is also a matter of wait and see, because it is also going to be a choice of the American government to continue with this and be seen to be violating a country, a sovereign nation's rights. And at the same time, I don't think that the Trump administration will be very happy to see this, because the pushback is also coming from the Democrats, and it might see so many issues or the fallouts within the Republican Party itself, and also from Kenyans who might be seeing the Americans as the ones who are playing with the government that or regime that is violating their rights cumulatively. So there could be some shifting situations moving forward, but it is right now, as it is right now, the government has allowed the facility construction to go on. But remember that this has been a concentrated protest in Nanyuki and Laikipia counties. Now from tomorrow, the protest will be shifting to Nairobi. And this is one of the issues that are going to now aggravate the situation: protests, the finance bill, the budget, and all these other issues.
Well, there you have it, Alex. Thank you so much for giving us insight. I think it's a very, very important story that we'll continue to be tracking, especially that update that you just gave us, that the process will be moving to the capital, Nairobi. Hope we chat again soon. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All the best.
There you go. That was Alex Kiarie, a journalist with Kenya Standard Group, helping us unpack the growing controversy surrounding a proposed US-linked Ebola facility in the Nyanyuki region and the questions around it. Questions that it raises about public health, about public trust and national sovereignty. Can the United States of America force this onto the Kenyan people? Can the Kenyan government allow this facility to be built despite objection by the public? People are saying, you're going to expose us to this thing. We've never had a case of Ebola. You've never asked us whether or not this facility should be built, and if a facility is being built and it's going to serve Kenyans, then that's good, it's great. But this thing is for American citizens that contract the Ebola pandemic. Why can't they be taken back home like it would be the case if Kenyans or Africans contracted any kind of disease? I can guarantee you they would be shipped back to the continent, and there would be strict conditions to make sure that the citizens of the United States of America are not exposed to this or whatever, disease that they have. So yeah, I think a very important story to track. And I think how the Kenyan government responds to it will give us insight on what's important to them, the voice of Kenyans or their continued alliance with the United States of America. Going to take a quick break. You're still listening to News and Views. We'll be back with more after this.
Soweto, it's time to stand together for justice, peace, and solidarity. Join us for the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza taking place on Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 a.m. The walk will begin at the historic Regina Mundi Church and proceed to the monumentous Dlamini Mosque, bringing together people of all faiths, backgrounds, and communities in a powerful show of unity and support. Bring your family, friends, and fellow residents as we walk together for a common cause. Let your voice be heard and your presence counted. That's the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 in the morning, starting at Regina Mundi Church and ending at Dlamini Mosque. Together we walk, together we stand, together we show solidarity.